You've been working with Columbus?
27, 28 years.
Okay. What do you do?
I'm right now I'm in the assistant chief, but I'm a sergeant.
Okay.
A Columbus police officer appears to pull rank during a suspected DUI traffic stop in Starkville. The story next on WCBI News at 6.
WCBI News at 6 starts now.
Thank you for joining us. Today, we learned more information about a Columbus officer pulled over by Starkville police on suspicion of DUI. Sergeant Louis Alexander was stopped in the early morning hours of March 9th.
Today, Starkville Police Chief Frank Nichols talked about that stop, what happened afterwards, and a change in policy. Our Jory Talley was there. She joins us live now with more.
Columbus councilmen have suspended an employee for conduct unbecoming of an officer. Today, we're told that officer here at the Columbus Police Department is Sergeant Alexander. Today, we learned the presence of alcohol and swerving is what caused Starkville Police to pull him over. Dashcam video shows blue lights flashing behind a pickup truck just after midnight on March 9th on Highway 12.
He was swerving in and out the lane.
This guy got pulled over as Columbus PD with his 1055. I don't know what to do with this.
The driver, Columbus Police Officer Sergeant Louis Alexander, was given a portable breathalyzer test during the traffic stop.
You cannot testify in court to the findings of a portable. Only thing you can do is testify to being present of alcohol or not. So pass or fail. Pass being no presence of alcohol, fail being the presence of alcohol.
And he tested presence of alcohol?
He did.
Starkville Police Chief Frank Nichols says a representative of the Columbus Police Department was called about the traffic stop. Later on, a chain of command decision was not to charge Alexander.
How did he get back to Columbus?
He was transported to Columbus, to the best of my knowledge, by someone from the police department there. I'm not sure how he got back.
Nichols says a professional courtesy is given to law enforcement in these types of situations.
I think we got to get more responsible with that, you know, because with today's time, if an officer is going to put himself and the public in risk of danger by driving under the influence, that officer don't need to wear this badge.
And the chief later said that courtesy will end at SPD.
The officer has the discretion to make an arrest if they deem necessary. So we're going to give you a copy of our current policy, but I assure you, as soon as y'all leave, that policy is going to be changed. And it's going to read, the officer shall make an arrest.
Columbus officials told WCBI it is a personnel matter about whether a city employee picked Alexander up in a city vehicle and while on the clock. We have asked if there is a policy about this type of issue and have not received a response. But for now, reporting live here at the Columbus Police Department, Jory Talley, WCBI News.
A man facing 2 charges of kidnapping is back in court. A judge decides John Arnold Jr.'s case should go to the grand jury. Several witnesses testified today, including the mother of the child that Arnold allegedly was trying to check out of school back in February. He reportedly went to Starkville Academy and Senneth Elementary looking for the child. The mother says Arnold did not have permission to remove the child from school. She filed a report with Starkville Police. Arnold's bond is set at $30 million, stemming from other charges after he removed his ankle bracelet, reportedly assaulted an Oktibbeha County jailer, and tried to escape from jail.
An animal cruelty case in Chickasaw County will not move forward. Last September, 7 horses and 2 donkeys were shot and killed in the Van Fleet community. The 4 men who were in the field at the time of the incident are suspected of gunning down the animals, but a grand jury decided there was insufficient evidence and did not indict the men.
I don't think, even myself, that they had gathered enough evidence for a grand jury hearing. Time after time, we see cases where there's the wrong charge. There's a lot of misinformation. There's lack of education on animal laws.
Now, since those animals were considered livestock and not pets, the charge would have been a felony. Time to get a first look at our forecast. We'll turn it over to meteorologist Amanda Reynolds.
Well, the clouds are starting to clear out there across much of the area. Plenty of sunshine over downtown Columbus. 55 degrees again. Notice those strong northerly winds. Those will start to taper off as we go forward through the overnight hours. Again, temperature is going to be down close to or near freezing across most of the area. That has prompted a frost advisory across the northern tier of Mississippi and even a freeze warning in extreme northeast Mississippi. Now, as we go forward through the day tomorrow, we'll begin our warm up. More details on that in just a few minutes.
The first woman from Mississippi to serve in the U.S. Senate will be Cindy Hyde-Smith. Governor Phil Bryant making that announcement today in Hyde-Smith's hometown of Brookhaven. Right now, she serves as the State Commissioner of Agriculture and Commerce. Her appointment comes just days before longtime Senator Thad Cochran retires. That will be on April the 1st. She will hold the office until a special election in November. That election will determine who holds the seat until the 2020 election.
In 1916, the first woman, Montana's Jeanette Rankin, was elected to a federal office. 102 years later, the Magnolia State is sending its first female to serve in the U.S. Capitol. Cindy Hyde-Smith will be the next senator.
Our Victoria Bailey talked to experts about this historic appointment. She's in the studio now with that story.
That's right, guys. State Agriculture and Commerce Commissioner Cindy Hyde-Smith's selection is a milestone for women in the state. Now, very few have won statewide elections in Mississippi and none on the federal level. Political experts say it sends a message to other ladies with political aspirations.
Having a woman in a high-profile position like this will only help other women in Mississippi see that there is perhaps a place for them.
Mississippi Agriculture and Commerce Commissioner Cindy Hyde-Smith is blazing a trail through Mississippi's political history.
Mississippi is one of only 2 states to have never sent a woman to Congress. The other state is Vermont. So having a woman represent Mississippi in the United States Congress really does elevate us. It takes us off that list. It really neutralizes things for our state, which is very important for women, for family issues, just to have someone at the table.
Currently, only 2 women hold a statewide elected position, Smith and Treasurer Lynn Fitch. Mississippi University for Women Political Science Assistant Professor Dr. Chanley Rainey says Smith's appointment could open the gates for more females to run for office.
Women are really taking the initiative and running, and that has been the biggest block. The biggest stumbling block to getting more women in office in the United States has actually been that they just don't run as often.
Stennis Center for Public Service Program Director Jennifer Gregory says Smith could also serve as a role model.
Having a woman that is a sitting senator hopefully breaks down that barrier a little bit and makes fundraising potentially more achievable and easier for women across the state.
In 2016, 237 women ran for House and Senate seats. The Rutgers Center of Women in Politics says Smith is now a part of a group that has doubled the number of women interested in representing their states.
Our continent has an average of 28.5% women serving as lawmakers. Our country has a lower percentage of 22%, and then Mississippi ranks currently 47th with 14.9% in its own state legislature being women. So we need this.
Smith officially begins her new role on April 2nd. She will be sworn in by Vice President Mike Pence. Joey?
Dozens show up to the Choctaw County Hospital Board of Trustees meeting today. They all had one question. Why are their tax dollars going into a clinic in Winston County? The board explained while taxpayer money is going into that facility, the revenue is coming back to Choctaw County, and it has increased every year since the leasing of the building. Trustees and county supervisors also announced the new lease will not require any taxpayer money.
They're hoping to secure a new lease agreement that's a lot less than what the current one is. One that they can do on their own, and in doing so, continue to increase our footprint, not only in Louisville, you know, I can see us in the years to come to expand further out.
Hospital officials also say the clinic in Louisville takes in more patients than the two clinics in Ackerman combined, making it a valuable asset.
When we come back, we meet a teacher who always knows just what to say.
We find out how she's breaking down language barriers in the classroom.
Welcome back. No matter the language, the secret to good teaching is the same. Connect with students. Our educator of the week is Kimberly Martinez. She's a French teacher at WCBI High School and says learning a different language can open a lot of doors for students. Martinez says while learning French, her students are improving their English. The trick is connecting with the culture and the teacher.
Mrs. Martinez brings a happy spirit every day when we step foot in the classroom. Mrs. Martinez, you learn so much in her class, from the fundamentals of French or the culture, and every day is guaranteed to be fun.
You build trust just by being there for them and creating exciting lesson plans where they know that they're going to have an exciting day of learning.
And you can nominate a teacher by visiting WCBI.com.
Well, we're going to slowly warm up as we go forward through the rest of the week, but it'll also bring the chance for some showers and will be significantly warmer by the weekend. More details in the forecast right after the break.
WCBI's Educator of the Week is brought to you by Food Giant, where your neighbors are the owners. Your First Alert forecast with meteorologist Amanda Reynolds.
The clouds are clearing and the sun is shining across much of the area, including Vernon. This is our live look over Durham's Pharmacy. You can see just a few clouds over there in the sky. Similar story here in Columbus. We'll have some time lapses later on WCBI News at 10. You can see how quickly these clouds have actually cleared. Let's also go up to Tupelo if we can get our graphic system to go. Maybe not. There we go. Right now here in Tupelo, you can see just a few of those clouds and also conditions across the area. Most of us hanging out in the low to mid 50s, but again, now sunshine across the board. That wasn't something we saw earlier this week, but earlier this week we did have a cold front that pushed through, and that front now off the east coast and into parts of the Caribbean and the Atlantic. Notice that line of clouds right there? That is the front. So it's now pushed well off the area, well off to the east, and that's what sparked all of the severe weather earlier this week. Just a cool look at that satellite imagery. But as we go forward through the rest of this evening, we'll drop down into the 50s over the next few hours and then down into the mid 40s by around midnight. And then overnight we'll be down into the low 30s, and again, most of us will be down relatively close to that freezing mark, so a frost advisory for areas of North Mississippi and then even a freeze warning for the extreme northeastern parts. So all of that goes until 9 a.m. tomorrow morning when we'll start to warm up, and I don't foresee any more frost or freeze warnings being issued for the next few days because we'll actually start to warm up pretty significantly. Again, tomorrow's still going to be fairly cool. We'll be in the low 60s, but plenty of sunshine, and it won't be as windy through the day tomorrow, but by Friday will actually be significantly warmer. Again, high pressure setting over the region. A few clouds may build in by Friday afternoon, but that cold front kind of going to push to our south, and that could spark a few showers Saturday or Sunday, but the real rain not going to move in until Monday. So again, plenty of sunshine in the near term. We'll be in the low 60s tomorrow, 70 by the time we get to Friday. Again, low end rain chances through the weekend, so maybe some off and on showers, but not going to be a washout by any means. Chance for a few thunderstorms by the time we get to Monday, but again, we'll stay in the low 70s until we get to the middle of next week.
Coming up, we recap last night's win for the Mississippi State men in the NIT. Plus, we preview the women in Kansas City. That's next in sports.
WCBI Sports with Robbie Donahoe is brought to you by your local Ford dealers. Go further.
We'll start spreading the news. The Bulldogs are on their way to New York, New York. The city so nice they named it twice. Mississippi State was 3 wins away before the start of the NIT and playing at Madison Square Garden, the world's most famous arena. I got those first 2 against Nebraska and then at Baylor in crazy fashion. Last night, they thought they were going to go up against maybe a more difficult opponent in Louisville on the road. It proved to be a complete mismatch. So let's show it to you one more time between the Bulldogs and the Cardinals just because it's so pretty and we like seeing pretty highlights, and this is pretty pretty to start. Alley-oop slam there. Quindary Weatherspoon there from Tyson Carter. Then Carter showing you the range here. You know, that extended three-point line only in the NIT games didn't seem to be bothering the Bulldogs. They were still launching from deep. And then defense to offense here off the steal. Xavier Stapleton going to step into a triple. Money. State had a 20-12 lead after one. Really never relinquished the lead. You know, they got that big lead against Baylor on Sunday, and Baylor came back and took a big lead in the second half. Did not happen this time around at Louisville. MSU got a big lead and kept the big lead. They were up by 11 at the half, and then third quarter, here's Quindary Weatherspoon, steal and slam. And Lamar Peters, you saw it a little bit earlier, the dude has ridiculous handles. Look at this pass to Eric Holman. How in the world did he see him on the baseline? State won it easy, 79-56. They are off to Madison Square Garden to face Penn State next week. It'll be on a Tuesday. Now, the game time is yet to be determined against the Nittany Lions, and it's funny all the parallels that Mississippi State keeps running into in the NIT. You know, they started with Nebraska. They played Nebraska first game of the year in an exhibition. Then they played against Baylor. Baylor so happens to be the destination of Mario Kegler, former MSU player transferring to the Bears. He'll be playing there next year. And then the Louisville game, that's a team that Mississippi State played in football earlier this year. Now they'll play Penn State, a team that they took their head coach from to be their new head coach in football. So crazy all the parallels. But we'll figure out the time when the game will happen coming up tonight or tomorrow by chance. Western Kentucky, Oklahoma State, Rick Stansbury's team playing for the right to play in the semis. And Utah, St. Mary's will be the other game. Those two winners will face off in the other semifinal game coming up next week on a Tuesday. We'll be looking forward to that. Now to women's basketball. Mississippi State has touchdown in Kansas City as the Bulldogs are now preparing and getting set for NC State in the women's NCAA tournament and a Sweet 16 round. Bulldogs, as you know, had a difficult second-round matchup against the 9-seed Oklahoma State, but they were able to dispatch of the Cowgirls in that game, 71-56. The Bulldogs have landed in Kansas City, and they are on location in KC. And our very own Tom Ebel is on the way to Kansas City as well. Should be getting in the next 20 to 30 minutes. So Tom will be in Kansas City. We'll have a report from him coming up tonight at 10 on WCBI Sports as we check in with him. The Bulldogs will have Media Day coming up tomorrow in KC. Something to look forward to. That matchup against NC State will be Friday at 6 p.m. You can watch the game on ESPN. The Wolfpack 26-8 overall this year. A really tough physical rebounding team, but they're not going to outscore you. They're not going to put up big numbers, so Bulldogs may have to play a game in the 50s or 60s to win. NC State did defeat Maryland 74-60 in the second round of that regional matchup between the Wolfpack and the Terrapins. So we'll break down that NC State matchup a little bit more coming up at 10 on WCBI Sports. We'll also talk a little spring football at Ole Miss as the Rebels continue spring action. The Bulldogs had their first spring practice yesterday with Joe Moorhead. They'll be back in action coming up Thursday on the gridiron, so we'll talk a little more about that. We'll have Tom from Kansas City coming up at 10, so we'll be busy. I'm getting ready to head to New York coming up on Sunday, so we've got all sorts of travel plans. We can't wait to road trip with Mississippi State. That's it for sports. We'll get a last look at your forecast next.
Even more sunshine for the day tomorrow. We'll be in the low 60s, but we'll be even warmer by the weekend, and it won't be a complete washout. Probably just some scattered showers. Some may see it, some may not. Better chance for some widespread rain on Monday, but again, we'll pretty much stay in the 70s. So spring, it'll finally actually feel like it's here, even though officially it started yesterday.
No more frost.
No more frost.
At least for now. We're good.
We'll replace it with pollen.
True.
Oh my gosh.
That's terrible. Thanks so much for joining us, everybody. Have a good night.